Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Wrestling Therapy. Once again, the chair has been filled with a returning guest. Please reintroduce yourself to those who are unfamiliar.
So, for those that aren't familiar with me, I am the Vanilla Gorilla, one half of Turnbuckles and Stogies podcast that brings the world of pro wrestling and cigars together for everybody to enjoy and listen to. And I'm also one half of the Untouchables pro wrestling tag team. I've been to Carolinas, Jersey, so you may have seen me. You may have seen me on interviews like this, but it's okay because I'm here.
Well, I thank you for being here once again.
And I appreciate you for having me back.
No problem. This was an interesting weekend.
To Interesting to say the least.
We had a cash in. We had a Brock Lesnar sighting.
Yeah, cash in. Yeah, that's a
I
whole
mean, I
nother.
knew that was
I, you know, I knew that was coming, but I kind of hope not because I wanted to see him retain the title and keep the title for a little while. I was really hoping they weren't going to let Rollins keep it, to be honest with you. I don't know. It's not that his gimmick is bad. It's not he's over. It's just I feel like the whole Rollins, Reigns, and guys like that give it to somebody else now. Granted, Punk doesn't need it, but it would have been nice to see.
I think it's almost a full circle thing because if we go back to WrestleMania 40, where Drew beat
Yeah.
Seth for the title, and then
Yep.
Punk cost Drew the the thing. The only thing was, I wish Drew was the one who came out there and like Claymore him something afterwards,
Yeah.
and Rollins would have
Yeah.
came out. That would have been sweet justice.
That would have been that would have been justified, and I wouldn't have even been mad at that, honestly. Like I personally wouldn't have been upset about that because again, it makes sense. My biggest thing is making sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then they shouldn't be doing it. Like, see, Rollins cashing in on Punk, that makes sense. Because if you go back, like you said, to not the last WrestleMania with Drew and then you had Seth involved with Cody. Was that 2 WrestleManias ago now?
Yeah,
When Punk came
2 or
back,
3.
yeah. So he was involved in that whole summer of Drew and I guess summer of Rollins era. That it made sense as much as I didn't like it. But that's because I think to me Punk deserved to hold the world title.
Yeah, I agree. He's had some really great feuds, and he's staying healthy, which is good.
Yep. And I
Um,
think I mean that's the biggest thing is he's healthy now. You're getting a
right,
healthy Punk.
and
I
that's
mean,
not
yeah.
something we was worried about getting because he had came back and got hurt. So,
Yep. He came back,
but
he got hurt, he came back again and got hurt. So it's a whole he had a rough start to his new WWE run.
yeah, this episode of Wrestling Therapy is we're doing hot takes, new hot takes episode. I believe you have a few hot takes you would like to discuss, and the floor is yours.
So the question is how far back do you want to go with hot takes?
Go as far back as you want.
Because this one is one that people will hate me for,
Although,
And
so
I'm
it's something
gonna say
good.
it, of course. If if this if this person was still alive, they're a first ballot Hall of Famer, and there's no reason they should have been completely erased from wrestling history. Period.
You're talking about Chris Benoit.
Yeah,
I agree.
in my opinion, there's no reason that he should have been erased from pro wrestling history. Because I mean, whether it's in the ring or out of the ring, you can't take away what his personal life didn't affect his in ring work. That guy, hands down, was the best technical wrestler probably that well, no, I won't say that ever lived, because that was probably Malenko was probably the first one. Malenko and Bret Hart were up there, so was Owen, and then Benoit was right in that clique of just technically sound pro wrestlers.
If you said Benoit was one, I don't think you would get a lot of argument.
No, no, because he proved it. He proved that he could do it. You know, I mean, there's just that's like the biggest one that I have is like they erased him from history, but yet there's so many other guys that did so many other things, and they weren't erased at all. I get why
That's
you
true.
erased him, but it still doesn't make any sort of sense, because that wasn't that what he did had nothing to do within the ring. What he did was his own personal life, and whether he did it or not, that's a whole nother take.
Well, do
That
you believe? I mean, you opened up the can of worms. Let's talk about it.
do I
What do you
think?
think?
No, I don't. I don't. I think there was more at play. Um, everybody that read the rumors of who they think it is, of who had a hand in it. I won't disgrace his name, so to say, because I have too much respect for him. But if you read, you know who they're talking about, who I'm talking about. They think he had something to do with it. I'm not gonna say he did. I'm not gonna say he didn't, because only 3 adults know what happened in that house that night. If they're saying, if you believe it's true and that person was a part of it, then only 3 people know what happened in that house that night, and they're not here. I that's one thing I've always said is I don't think he did it, but you know, brain scans show that might be different, because he had the brain of an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient or dementia patient. But again, we'll never know. We'll never know the truth.
Yeah. It's it's one of those things where it doesn't feel as open as shut as it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things are don't add up to where they're supposed to, but like you just said, there's only
Yeah,
3 adults that know what happened, and everybody that
correct.
does know that was in the house is no longer here too.
Exactly. And we'll never know the truth. And if it was ever confessed what happened to somebody, then that person is the only person that holds the truth. Should they reveal it, they reveal it. If not, it's just gonna be one of those mysteries that are left and just kind of open ended.
I agree. That's a good one. What is another hot take you may have? I like that
Hmm.
one. That was a good one.
That's probably one of my bigger ones.
Okay.
And this is gonna be another one, and it's just because he's such a controversial figure as a creative person and storyline wise. Vince Russo, in my opinion, is one of the better creative writers that a lot of these companies had. I'm not gonna say WCW got him at his they I think he just did that to do it. But if you look at TNA, you look at the Attitude Era, he kind of set that in motion. And people can hate me for it, people cannot. I don't care. That's my opinion. I mean,
Whenever you're in the chair in wrestling therapy, sir, your opinion is valid. You would not hear me disgrace any of your opinions because
right,
we're here to talk and discuss like adults.
absolutely. And that's the beauty of doing what we do is we can sit down like adults and discuss these things. I
We
now
we,
other people
we
think
live in a
differently.
world where everybody wants to argue.
Yeah.
Like we
My
don't need to
thing
argue.
is
We
if
can
you
talk.
want to argue, that's fine. But make sure you have valid points. And most people when they argue don't they bring up like two things. And no matter what it is, they bring up two things. They don't come with facts. But that's one of my other hot takes I have is Vince Russo as a creative person was probably one of the better ones they had over the years.
What do you think about Jim Cornette?
Oh, I fucking love Jim Cornette. Jim's up here because Jim Cornette is just he's a whole nother guy. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't give a shit. He tells you how it is, and if you don't like it, that's too bad. And I think that's one thing I've always liked about Jim is he doesn't care. Doesn't care. And it's great because it makes for a great show that he does, but it also made for great creative because he didn't care to go. He would go up to a Vince McMahon or an Eric Bischoff and tell you this is how it goes. If you don't like it, that's too bad. I, I love Jim. I think Jim is great. I think even on the manager scale, I think Jim's up there. Jim's up there.
Okay. While we're on the subject of managers, who are your top three managers of all time?
Top three of all time. Jim Cornette.
That's number
By
one.
the way, this is no specific order.
Oh, we need order, sir.
Oh, you need order?
we need a concrete one, two, and three.
See, the problem is one and two can be one and 1A.
Jim Cornette's number one, Paul Heyman's number two.
Well,
Managers, I would
everybody
say
has a different.
number one is a toss up between Jim Cornette and Bill Alfonso. To me, that would have to be a toss up between one. That would have to be a toss up at one. Um, top three. So you got Bill, you got Jim, you got Bill. Number three. Like I know Paul Heyman's on that list somewhere. I just don't know if it's three. Just don't know if
Really?
it's three. I feel like it is because I can't really rack my brain of any other top managers like that.
I mean, you got the mouth of the South. I mean,
Yeah, you got Jimmy Hart, you got Miss Elizabeth, Mr. Fuji. See, that's the thing is where how do you drop these numbers in place is my thing because they are all in their own right deserving of you know number one in my opinion. And that's my opinion because of the fact of if you look at the caliber that a lot of them managed, all of them managed champions. All of them managed. I mean, if you want to go, the guy that managed the most champion, that managed the highest paid champion, that would have to be Jimmy Hart. He would have to be one if we're going that way because he managed Hulk Hogan. He managed Hogan
so
almost all the way through WCW. And then you could say maybe Jim Cornette after that. And then if you're going to pick companies, it would be like Jimmy Hart would be one, Jim Cornette in the NWA would be two, and Bill Alfonso, in my opinion, would be three based on if you're going through companies and you had to pick one from each company. That's how I would rank it. And again, that's
Okay,
no shade on any of those. That's not any shade on any of those guys because any of those guys could have number one very easily. They could all have
I
number
like the
one very easily.
I like the variety. Sometimes you got to go outside the normal.
You do, and if you ask people, they're going to tell you, Jimmy Hart, Mr. Fuji, and probably Paul Heyman. Or they're gonna pull out some random person that manages like two people once.
Like Armando
And it's like,
Alejandro Estrada.
see, now to me, name wise, delivery, and just overall attitude, he's on the list just based on his overall just top to bottom appearance. You know, just his because he was good on the mic. He was good as a
What
manager
was
on the
that?
mic.
What was that guy's name that was with Del Rio?
Ricardo Rodriguez.
Yes, Ricardo. I liked
Now
him.
he goes by well, so he's a wrestler too.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wrestler too. So I guess they found him, I'm assuming in Mexico with Del Rio because he used to wrestle under a mask. So I'm assuming they found him in Mexico with Del Rio.
I liked him. I liked his entrance
Oh
of
yeah,
Del Rio.
his entrance was good. Now that's somebody who has been a controversial figure in himself. Del Rio.
Del
He's
Rio?
had a lot of yeah,
What's
yeah.
your thoughts on Del Rio?
That's
It's a safe
now
place.
I think no. Now if you would have asked me even 10 years ago, I probably would have told you Del Rio would have been a world champion so many times over because he could wrestle. And over the years, the more and more you hear about him, the more and more you realize, again, and that's not taking away from his in-ring work, but as a person, with all that stuff behind them, do you really want them as your champion? Like if you're looking at it from that aspect, no company's going to put a belt on him and you know take him to the track and let him run because of all of the controversy behind his name with the allegation. Well, no, I think he was charged uh, with Soraya. I think he was charged with that one. I think there was actual charges filed by the police, not by her. I think he had another controversy after that. He's had a couple in the last 10 years or so. He's had quite a few. So, I mean, look at what they did to him in AAA once WWE took over. They took the belt off of him. I mean, what does that tell you?
Yeah, we live in a PR heavy
Absolutely.
society, and you kind of it's like the whole Ron Killing situation. They had to bring him back because they was catching hell for it, which doesn't make them look good in the public eye. Like, hey,
Well,
you let this beloved guy go for what? So
and
they brought
now
him back.
you can right, and you can kind of tie that into the whole carrying cross situation because of
That's
all
another one.
the slack they got from the fans of why is this man not on a card, not on a Raw, nothing because Not only can he deliver in promos, he can deliver in the ring. And again,
This
that
present,
goes back to that PR of like, what the hell are you doing?
honestly, this would probably be a hot take myself. I think Cross should have gone back to NXT and faced Oba and took the title from Oba.
I wouldn't even be. I don't even consider that in my opinion, I don't consider that a hot take because it makes sense. It makes sense. You want to
Because
see if Oba can go, if he can hang, and not saying that he can't, but I mean, he hung with Moose, and Moose is a hell of an athlete. So you can't take that away from him. He can go, but you want to see if he's really got that draw. You like you said, you put him against somebody like a Karrion Cross that they can throw back in there and say, "Hey, have at it."
because the problem with Oba right now on NXT, there's nobody logically that's going to beat him besides a Jasper Troy, which we've seen that, and a Trick Williams, which we've seen that.
Right.
So it's kind of like I feel like if you would put him against a Cross and Cross takes the title, build Cross back up to what everybody loved in NXT.
Right.
And then once he got to the main roster, Vince was like, "Oh, we're gonna kill this."
Yeah, because I think he's been known to kill a lot of people because he wants them to. He doesn't care what you did. He wants you to start from the bottom on the main roster and come all the way back up. But he doesn't give certain people a shot to come all the way back up. He either sticks them right in the opener, or they're stuck in catering.
And it's people get upset that WWE releases people. Speaking of releases, I thought I saw yesterday that Austin Theory has been quietly let go.
I've heard. I've also heard he's out injured.
The last thing I heard, which was like yesterday before that, he's been quietly let go.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Well, no, that would shock me because, again,
He's young.
he's good.
Yeah.
He's good. And people are gonna hate us for saying it, but that kid, he's got something. If they give him the right opportunities, he could potentially be a main event player. 100%.
If he had a Paul Heyman in his corner, gold.
Well, right, and unfortunately, running with the whole Vince chosen one thing,
Didn't help.
no, because then they stuck him with not stuck him with Grayson Waller because I personally like them as a team. Two young guys who can go, who can move. I just don't think I think they kind of fell to the wayside in that division. Loaded up with New Day and Street Profits and Wyatt Six and Andrade and Phoenix and War Raiders and the Judgment Day. The list goes on and on in the tag team division. I think they got lost by the wayside, and now they don't know what to do with them. Could I see them? I could have seen them releasing Waller before Austin Theory.
I think the problem with that was I Triple H, all of that, whatever you want to call him, he likes to slow cook. Well, he let this slow cook too long.
Right.
He got to the point nobody cared anymore. It's like you started something, then you stopped, and you started something, and then you did
And
not.
and I think that also had to do with creative, not so much. I want to say obviously he had a hand in it, but I think the writers didn't want to put the time into it. They wanted to just use the established teams and keep moving. I think if they were a team still, I think they would have shined in that TLC match on Sunday. I think that would have been the spot to stick them and let them, kind of go and see what they can actually do. I think that would have been the perfect spot for them.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because the Raw tag division is nowhere near the SmackDown's tag division.
No, it's not even close to loaded like that.
And but it's which is weird because if you look at the teams on Raw, you have the New Day. It's one of the best tag teams, if not the best tag teams. Um, you have
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day, American Made, LWO, um, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate.
Yeah.
Um, you have teams, but
It's
it's just kind
almost
of
like Raw has all the technical teams and SmackDown has the exciting teams.
but I feel like there's just no effort going into the Raw into
No,
anything with Raw tag team. It's just kind of like, yeah, the New Day is entertaining, you know.
yeah, but eventually they got to go away too for a little while.
I think we need a draft.
I think the draft or the shakeup is coming, whatever they want to call it now. I think the draft should go back to the way it used to be, where you get Raw, you get SmackDown, you put a couple guys in the ring, whoever wins gets the draft pick. The
I
way
like
it
that.
used
Yeah,
to
I
be,
like that. That was nice.
like a
The old
civilized society.
Make it a triple
Put,
threat. Throw NXT in there.
I mean, you can if you got specifically people in mind you want to put back down, not for a bad reason. Maybe just to reseason them or get them, like you said, build them back up, like a carrying Cross, which I don't think you really need anymore because he's got the traction now. But you could put somebody like a Grayson Waller back down there and build him back up to go beat Oba. You could put I'm not gonna say Sammy because Sammy don't need it. You could put it depends on how you classify people. Really, it really does. It's all a matter of how you personally think people, where you think people should be.
Um, Before I forget, we also had a new thing. WWE and ESPN are a thing now. I think it's like 1.5, 1.6 billion dollar deal for
I
WWE.
seen 2.5.
It might be that. I'm pretty sure it's a lot.
Yeah.
But people are upset that pay-per-views or PLEs are now going to be $30. Now, my thing is this. I don't mind it being that price if you're going to give us more matches on the paper.
So
You
yeah,
right now for $10, you're giving me 5 matches on a regular show. On a regular show,
right.
okay, cool. But if you're expecting people to pay 30, you need to give them at least 6 to 7 matches on the card.
No, absolutely, and
But AEW, AEW is like 60,
yeah, AEW 60, and it's like fucking 15 matches.
and that's too much.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. I've sat through quite a lot of AEW pay per views. I've spent the money, and I've sat through the pay per views, and I've enjoyed them. Again, another hot take is going to be I think AEW's more on the rise than people think it is. I think it's there. I think it's at that level where it needs to be. I mean, obviously everybody could always elevate, but I think AEW's at that point where they're good where they're at. But that's me.
See, now I'm not going to say I disagree or agree with that statement, but I've heard it before. I heard a few years ago when AEW was really hot, like, oh man, they're getting ready to go toe to toe with Raw and SmackDown, and then it didn't happen. Then it got quiet. Like now I hear like, oh, they're on the rise, which I hope they are, because that makes other companies have to step up.
Right.
But what is the ceiling for AEW? What's the ceiling?
I don't know. Honestly, it's really tough to say what their ceiling is.
Like if you was to put say Dynamite on Mondays head to head with Raw, do you think that would benefit? Who do you think that would benefit?
Well, if it was on regular cable television, because I'm not going to go streaming, even though they're on HBO Max. But
Yeah, I mean they both have streaming services.
yeah, but if you're going regular TV, I'm gonna say you put that because Raw's been good, but Raw hasn't been where, like you said, where it should be. Raw could be a lot. Not Raw could be better.
You know,
The only time a lot of people really tune in is after pay-per-views to see what
they've
comes
had
at
some
them.
good Raws and they've had some.
Yeah,
Ugh.
really bad ones. So far recently, it seemed to be a lot more iffy ones than anything else. Where Dynamite, right now, if you were to put that on against Raw, I think you get more viewers on Dynamite than Raw. Just purely based on storylines, and they have a slow build, but they know how to keep the people entertained.
Okay, before we wind down, you watch it. You seem to have a good grasp on AEW, correct?
I would say I have a decent grasp. I wouldn't say great or good. I kind of I pay attention. I do watch it. I like it.
Okay.
Um,
If if I gave you 2 minutes to convince somebody to watch an episode of Dynamite, what would you say?
High impact, high offense. You got stars of today, stars of yesteryear, if you want to call it that. You got luchadors, you got the women. I mean, you got it all. You got a little bit for everybody.
I mean, it sort of sounds like a episode of NXT.
Yes,
Like
but
what? How would you convince somebody like, yo, you should really like watch this for an episode?
I've never really thought about it that way before, like to try to convince somebody, and it's because I mean, if you're, in my opinion, and I don't know if this would go towards what you're saying, but if you're a fan of wrestling, you'll enjoy what they have to offer because again, they have Japan, and again, NXT kind of has the same thing, but they have the Japanese stars, they have the Mexican luchadors, the American stars, the foreign. They every company kind of has the same ideas. It's just how they put them together.
Okay, let me ask you a more direct question. What's a good current storyline going on in AEW right now that you
Man.
enjoy, that you are enjoying personally?
besides Mark Briscoe and MJF, just because again I grew up watching the Briscoe brothers on ROH, so to me I'll always enjoy seeing Mark Briscoe on my screen. Wish Jay was there with him, but there was other plans in the cards for him. Rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace.
To probably one of the greatest half of a tag team again at that point in time that nobody had ever seen. But besides that, obviously everybody that knows the Hurt Syndicate is there. MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley. That's always an entertaining thing when MVP's involved. We all know that. My favorite one, though, so far has to be the Young Bucks losing their EVP titles to Swerve and Will Ospreay. Like the last week they came out and they came out with no ring entrance. It just said talent name across the nameplate on the screen. It just said talent. Like then it had talent socials. Like it was the most blank thing you could get. This week they gave Justin Roberts strict instructions on how to announce them, and Swerve took over. And for those of you that know, there may be some of you that don't. I'm sure you know. They were announced as Max and Jeremy Buck. Actually, they didn't even name them. They didn't even call them Buck. They just called them Max and Jeremy. For those that get it, and I can see you get it because you're laughing.
That's funny.
I think it's great because it's just Swerve taunting them more and more and more and more. We all know where this is going to lead. It's going to lead to Swerve and Ospreay again versus the Bucks. And again, I'm not mad at that. Because Swerve and Ospreay together put on a great tag team, and against each other put on 5-star classic matches. I don't care what Dave Meltzer says.
Speaking of Dave Meltzer, I find it funny how many people don't like Dave Meltzer, but read things he puts out.
So I there's things I don't like that Dave does, but then Dave also isn't stupid when it comes to the business either. Like, to me, his rating system, which for those of you that know was actually started by Jim Cornette unintentionally. I listened to it on his episode of Talk is Jericho with Chris Jericho. His friend used to do it, and then ironically, somebody who subscribed to his friend's letter or whatever was Dave Meltzer. So, again, if you go listen to that episode, it's a few years old, but it was funny to hear that whole story unfold. But to me, see, everybody gives 5-star matches no matter what the company is. To me, and again, I love Japanese wrestling. It's just I like that hard-hitting smash mouth style. But it seems like it's not a 5-star match to Meltzer if it's not in the Tokyo Dome.
Okay.
I mean, and that's just me, because there's been a lot of matches on American soil that could have been 5-star classics from start to finish.
But before we wrap up here, I would like to ask you what are the qualifications to you on a 5-star match?
So, okay, that's actually a good question, because I've had this not conversation about it being a 5-star, but what I like for me, what I look for is the storytelling throughout the match. Are they telling a good story, and are the moves going where they belong? Now, again, I'm also not going to sit here and knock the guys that go out and, run and jump over the top rope every time, because I enjoy that. I appreciate it all, but if you're looking for a 5-star match, everything's got to make sense from the opening bell to the time that bell rings at the end. The moves, the storyline, the progression of the story throughout the match. We all look for the comeback of the baby face or the comeback of the heel. The fans, if the fans aren't reacting, you might have to change something. I've been to many shows. We've all been there as fans. You have matches where you start out here, and then you're up here, and then you're back down here, and then you're up here, and you're back down here, and they bring you up just to bring you back down. To me, that's what I look for. Is do the move. Now, again, that's not saying a match where there's a lot of flippity floppity flying doesn't get 5 stars, because it does, because I can't do half that stuff. 3/4 of that stuff. So I'll never knock those guys. I appreciate that 110%. I'll never knock them. Like, for instance, I'll give you a match that would fit that criteria, but also kind of go back to, what I was saying about the flipping and the flying and everything else. when Penta and Phoenix, when the Lucha Brothers versed the Young Bucks in the steel cage in AEW. They did
Ah,
all kinds of flipping and flying and springboarding and crazy moves and thumbtacks in the bottom of the shoe. But it all made sense.
that was a
That's
good match. I remember that.
that match was. You want to talk about a tag team, hardcore, whatever you want to call it, cage match? Go watch that, and then come back to this episode and see why I say that was a 5-star match, because it had everything. It brought you up, it brought you down. They had the comeback, the cutoff. They had it all. And I think Kenny and Okada's last match they just had to unify the titles, to have the AEW Unified Championship. I think that's up there as a 5-star match because it told the story. It put Kenny on the shelf for a little while, which it's supposed to do.
It's a good answer. That's everybody has a different criteria
Yes.
to what in a 5-star match that they enjoy. There's some people that like if that person can't sell very well, it's not a good. It knocks it down. If
Yeah, I could understand that.
yeah, I mean, it's you have to be you have to believe what you're seeing.
Correct.
Like prime example when Candice LeRae went through the ladder. I was like, well,
Oh,
shit, she's done.
I thought she broke that ladder, and I was on my porch screaming, "She's dead."
I was like, shit.
Or well, look at Michael Cole when I'm still gonna call him Samuel Shaw, but Dexter Loomis put Montez Ford through the table. He kept screaming, "Montez Ford, he's dead. Montez Ford is dead." Like, see now, like to me, that ladder spot into the table spot, it all made sense because it progressed. But like that last table spot, I was really hoping when DIY went through, I was hoping at some point the Guns were gonna make the comeback and get the belts. In my opinion, that's just me. I like the Guns, but that match it's up there for a TLC.
It's my favorite one.
I mean, again, you have the instant classics, the 3 or 4 instant classics with the Hardys and the Dudleys and Edge and Christian. Those are never going to go away from being in the top.
People are afraid to not make it number 1 or 2. They're afraid to because it's a classic. Just because it's a classic doesn't mean there's nothing going to be better than it.
Right.
It was a phenomenal match, but to sit there and say, "Oh, I can't say this match is better because this match happened first." So what?
Right. I mean, and listen, and it just depends on, to me too, it depends on what era you grew up in. Like kids now growing up watching this, the only way they're going to know about those matches is if they go back and watch them. To them,
Which there's
this
plenty of
might be
accent.
this might be the number one match. And I
Hell,
can't
even the
say
one on SmackDown was good.
those were fantastic matches. I mean, even this last one, like it to have that many bodies at one time in that match was insane. And if you look throughout that match, they did callbacks to the Hardys and the Dudleys because they brought in the heavy like Eric Rowan. Then they brought in the women in Candice LeRae and Nikki Cross and B-Fab, and they made it theirs, but they also did the callbacks to the other matches.
And I felt like everybody got a moment to shine.
Yes,
It
100%.
wasn't just, hey, we're hyper focused on these two teams. Like everybody, even the women had their moments. I
Oh
mean,
my
some may
God.
have been going through ladders, but they
Well,
still had
some
their
might have
moment.
one might have died.
Yeah,
One
I
might have
was like,
died, but you know.
I was like, holy shit! It's
Oh my
better than
God.
what AJ Francis did when he fell off the ladder.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
That was his TNA one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
I
oh, he
seen
broke
that.
his leg and his shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, and he's another one though that has kind of reinvented himself though. And he's been doing a whole lot better than I thought he would, honestly. I seen the mic skills from the beginning. We all knew he had the chops to cut a promo. And I think where he is now with Fourth Rope and popping up here and there for GCW and working TNA, and I think into Mexico a little bit, he's gonna do good and he's gonna make a name for himself, which he already has. But he's gonna make his name bigger, and I think he eventually comes back. I do. I think he might eventually come back. Everybody comes back at some point. We all know that.
Yeah. Um, as we wind down, actually, you just reminded me. Another hot take. I believe Odyssey Jones should be brought back to WWE because he was proven innocent, to my understanding, and he was let go for something that was alleged. And I think WWE was a little too quick on pulling the trigger on him. Just like I feel like Enzo should be back because Enzo was.
He don't want it. He don't want to come back. They asked him. I
I
wish.
don't blame.
I think
I don't
Odyssey.
blame
I
him.
think Odyssey could be brought back, but you do know that Odyssey just went to Japan, right?
Oh, that's good. No, I didn't know that.
He's he's working. He's working for All Japan now.
That's good. Sharpen.
So
Get
I
get
think
some new
I think
skills.
going to Japan for him is going to be big.
You know who I would like to see come back? Keith Lee.
Yeah, but you got to let Keith Lee be Keith Lee. You can't handcuff him like they did originally on the main roster. If you're gonna bring him in, you gotta let him be Keith Lee. You gotta let him, as
Is he
much as
still
he's a
with
big man,
AEW?
you gotta let him fly. You gotta let him do it all.
Is he still with AEW?
He is in catering. Yes, he's in catering,
Oh wow,
which is crazy.
that's wild. I mean, it's just
That
like they wasted Rusev
you know,
or
when they
Miro,
had the
as he was.
Miro, when they did that, when they were doing the Miro gimmick with the Redeemer and all that, it was great. I thought it was good. That had legs. And then when Eddie Kingston came out and told him, Redeemer, redeem these nuts, I realized there was no legs left for that gimmick.
Yeah,
I realized there was no legs left for that gimmick. Once
yeah,
once he came out and did that, I was like, okay, well, that you're gonna have to revisit the drawing board on that one because
yeah,
that's finished now. That's done.
yeah. Killed that, brother.
Real fast. And another hot take people are gonna hate me for. I think Eddie should be world champion. I
Isn't he
think Eddie'd be a
rehabbing an
hell of a
injury
world
now?
champion.
Kingston.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think Eddie'd be a hell of a world champion. I do.
I'm not against it. I mean, I've seen. There's always worse options.
I- There's a lot worse options.
But as we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to say or plug as we wrap up?
Well,
And I want to thank you
I
for being
appreciate you for
on.
having me on.
And before you answer that last question, there's one question I have for you. What do you think of the greatest intercontinental champion ever, Dirty Dominic
Oh,
Mysterio?
at that little bastard, as everybody calls him, has so much fucking aura. It's insane.
I
That
think he's
dude
going to win
went
the AAA title.
well. So the plan. So speaking of that, because that's where I was going next. Not on him, but AAA. Number one, yes, Dominic does win the AAA belt. They're talking about putting it on him. I think that's going to be fantastic because he's the only guy to go in as a fucking heel and get a pop in Mexico. Now speaking of AAA, WWE is back in the deal. TNA and AAA are slated to go to Peacock.
That'd be great.
They're slated to go to Peacock.
That'd be great.
With WWE back in the deal, I read it today. And they were saying the ESPN deal is $30 a month, but they're giving you the pay-per-views now. Because I guess people complained that they wanted to charge for pay-per-views, but they said it wouldn't cost any more than your subscription. That's why I think they raised it to 30 instead of the 15 it was or whatever. But I think Dominic goes to AAA. I think Dominic takes the belt. I think Dominic does lose the belt, the Intercontinental belt. He does.
I can see him dropping it to AJ Styles in France.
I was just getting ready to say, if he's going to drop it, it's got to go to AJ.
Before we go, I can't. One more thing. I do apologize. If you can predict a five-match card for Clash of Champions or Clash in Paris, excuse me, what will your 5-match card be?
We're going to go World Championship.
Okay.
Fatal 4-Way.
Okay.
Rollins, Roman, Punk, and LA Knight.
Okay.
Dominic and AJ for the belt again. The women's tag belts are going to be on the line somehow. I just don't know against who. Maybe Judgment Day in the return match. I don't know. Becky and Bayley for the Intercontinental belt, 100%. We already know that that's where this is going. We already know that's where that's going.
Yeah, I mean, she's got Nikki Bella right now, but yeah.
I mean, it could be a 3-way. They could go into Clash in Paris as Nikki and Becky. Could be a 3-way. You know, it's they could go a lot of ways with that. But I think if you don't get Nikki and if you don't get Bayley and Becky, you get Nikki and Becky and then Bayley and Lyra. And now is it a joint show or a one show is the thing.
It's a joint show.
I see Cody defending the belt on the card somewhere.
Ooh.
I don't know.
You see, like that's my thing about Cody winning the belt. Like, but I'll save that for another episode.
I see maybe Brock and John. If not there, Brock and John at Survivor Series. I do think next year at SummerSlam, I think Brock hangs it up.
You're not the first person I've heard say that.
And it's only because look where it is.
Right.
And if he's not hanging it up, you're an idiot for not putting him on the card. I mean, really, if you're going to be in Minneapolis, you're an idiot for not putting him on the card.
Yeah, it'll probably be another 2-night event.
Well, 2 nights. They're talking about making a few other pay-per-views 2 nights. I'm assuming Rumble would be the next one. It'd be Rumble Mania and SummerSlam, maybe potentially Survivor Series down the line, but I see them doing Rumble first.
I mean, you can make a case for both of those, all 4 of those being 2 nights.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Survivor Series go back to the way it used to be. Raw versus SmackDown. Not,
versus NXT.
Raw. Yeah, even if you want to throw NXT in there, absolutely. At this point, you could do Raw and SmackDown versus TNA and AAA. Like, you go so many ways with this. But I think stuff like that needs to be brought back, where it's brand versus brand for brand supremacy. Yes, we're all working together. That's great, but you need to define who's better and who's not.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with that is there is no brand supremacy because people just pop up wherever the hell they want to
That's the
and
other
switch back.
thing.
Like Logan Paul was on Raw, and like all of a sudden he's on SmackDown. Like what's
Yeah,
going
you
on?
have the free agents that they keep rotating from show to show. I don't know. It's because they did all this. They went to all these different networks. Like Netflix wanted Roman, Punk, Rollins. They wanted all the top stars on Raw. You can't have that. You can't have that.
Yeah, you're bleeding another part of your company dry.
Right.
Anywho, is there anything else you would like to say? 'Cause I know I had cut you off, but is
No,
there anything
you're
else?
you're good. No, you're good. I mean, we kind of, the AAA thing was really AAA and TNA thing was like the only thing I really wanted to touch on, and then you know what? Speaking of TNA, real quick before we sign off, what do you think of the Bound for Glory card coming up in October?
What is the card? I know. I thought I saw the Dudleys and the Hardys supposed to face each
That
other.
so far that's the main match. I was gonna get to that. What is your? Do you think that delivers? I think it does. And I think that might be the nostalgia in me that thinks it delivers. But at the same time, if it's going to be the last time they all get in the ring together,
My only hesitance on that is nostalgia isn't always good because if you go back to what's it, Crown Jewel, where you had DX versus Kane and Undertaker in Saudi, and that match was a complete shit show.
well, so it's a good thing you bring that because I go back to the fact of look at how long Shawn Michaels was out of the ring though.
Yeah, but when was the last time Devon wrestled?
Actually, he just wrestled recently for Impact.
Did he?
I'd say within the last year or so, he did something with them.
Oh, so it's been over a year.
At least, if not, no.
Okay, so it's
Actually, he might have wrestled on another card here or there, but like they preserved him because of the fact he had come back for Impact 1000 in the county center in Westchester. He came back to do Impact 1000. Him and Bubba reunited. Um,
okay.
I think since a full time schedule, if you want to call it that. Well, no, because he got hurt. But 20 was it 16 or 17 when they reunited
I thought
in
he had back
WWE?
surgery, like
He
not
did. So he
super
had
long.
back surgery. Um, but the thing is he had the back surgery, but then he wrestled within the last.
Okay, okay. See, I don't get to watch Impact like that. Hmm. Okay. Because I know Bubba's wrestled sporadically. I know he had a match or two in NXT not that long ago. There was a yeah, I know Bubba keeps wrestling shit. I wasn't sure about Devon, but that's good. At least he's good. Right. It'll probably be the Dudleys. I mean, I could see the Hardys doing one more run in WWE and then calling it a career. Yeah, but I mean, those guys are. I mean, Edge is not getting any younger. You can't. You know. I mean, you can't wait forever. Okay, nostalgia. Yeah, Edge and Christian. That's a great tag team. Yeah, I agree. Anything is possible in wrestling, right? Well, sir, I want to thank you for being a guest again. Thank you for filling the chair with your observations, your hot takes, and opinions, and we will hope to have you back again. This was another episode of Wrestling Therapy. Hope you enjoy. Stay safe. Stay blessed.